Seven Lamb Productions presents Tower 4 Season 1 Recap. Hello everyone, my name is Robert Lamb. I am the writer of Tower 4, and I'm a little voice in there too. But before we get into this recap episode, I want to introduce very special guest, Jack Austin, voice of Mike. How's it going?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Robert.
Thank you. I need to turn mine up. There we go. Jack,
yes.
you excited to talk about Tower 4? This is not his real voice, by
When
the
you
way.
first contacted me
He's
about
not
playing the
British.
role
He's not British.
of Mike Archer,
No,
I was so deeply moved
nope,
and honored.
nope. Who are you, Christian Bale? Christian Bale's not like
I don't
that.
know who
That's
I
not
am.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, I don't know who I am. But thank you, and to all of you who are big fans of the show, you're amazing. I love you.
You do sound like someone. I just can't put my finger on it.
I don't know
And it's
who I
not
sound
yourself.
like.
Yeah, it's definitely
no.
not yourself because
This is
that's how he talks.
yeah.
Yeah. But when we need a British person for this, we're going to cast a British person.
Yeah,
You're not doing
not me.
it, okay? You're not doing
me.
it. Anyways, guys, this is our recap episode. We try to do one of these for every one of our shows that we do. A lot of it is behind the scenes talk, but before we get to that, we're going to do a traditional recap really quick. I'm going to go through and I'm going to recap the entire season. That way, if you say listen to the first season and it's 6 months later or whenever we're deciding to release season 2 and
Right.
season 2 is coming out and you're like, oh, I forget what happened in season 1, and I am not going back to listen to all those episodes again. I want to recap within 5 minutes so I can go right into season 2.
I don't know if I want season 2 or not. Give me 5 minutes or less. Tower 4, go.
Go. This is going to be the recap right here. So you can just listen to me right now. Or if you want to skip the whole recap and just listen to us kind of chat, you can skip ahead 5 minutes and you'll get to that. But I'm going to go through this recap for everybody who wants to know what happened in season 1. Hopefully you did listen to season 1 and you're just coming back just to get caught up for when we eventually release season 2.
Yeah.
So here we go. Ready, Jack?
I'm ready.
You're just going to have to listen to me talk.
I'm okay with it, yeah.
All right. Tower 4 starts off with a ranger named Gene, and Gene is talking to Mike, who is going through the hiring process to become a new fire lookout. He learns the quick ins and outs, and it all seems kind of rushed, but Mike is looking forward to this. He wants to get away from it all after his mother recently passed, and he wants to focus on his writing. He's been wanting to write a book for a long time. Fire lookout seems like the perfect job to get some time to himself. Mike has a week before he starts, so he takes a mini vacation to Yellowstone and does some hiking. At night in a hotel room, he has a nightmare where he floats above his house and neighborhood on his childhood bed and watches his dad drive off onto the highway. When he comes back to see Gene drives him as far as he can along a dirt road where he lets Mike out, tells him to have fun for the next several months, and Mike hoofs it the rest of the way. He doesn't get to the tower, which is Tower 4, until late at night and falls asleep instantly. He's later woken up by Amber, who is the fire lookout in Tower 3. Amber is the only person Mike can reach unless he goes to a spot called Overarch, which is on the way to Enos Lake. She calls him to make sure he made it, and then they have a little introduction. Amber is super friendly and talkative. Mike, not so much. He takes some time to open up, though. After their talk, Mike goes to sleep, but awakens at 4 a.m. when he hears loud noises in the woods. Something large is moving through. He also hears static and whispers over the radio, a lot of creepy stuff. The next day, Mike gets acquainted with the amenities. Amber also helps him find some coffee. Mike finds a bow in the shack and learns of the old lookout named Jerry. Jerry and Amber never talked much when Jerry was a fire lookout the year prior. Mike and Amber talk more and more and share stuff about their past. Each of them has been cheated on, and Mike mentions his mother's passing. She also helps him with the day-to-day of fire watching. 3 days pass, and Mike finds a book on birds. He's super bored already and been spending some time writing and bird watching. At night, he is once again woken by his radio, but this time classical music is playing. Amber doesn't believe him, but says she'll make a call to Gene. Mike ends up staying up to write some more and finds a mysterious crumpled paper in his desk drawer that says, "They're listening." The next day, Mike sets out on a long hike to go to an area called Site 5. Hikers shouldn't be in the area because the section of forest is closed down, but he thinks that the hikers may be where the music was coming from the night prior. On his trek, he talks to Amber about his book. Mike's novel is simply titled Girl and is based on a past relationship. When he reaches Site 5, he finds an empty tent. No one is around except a bear. The bear arrives and is just about to attack Mike when his radio goes off playing more classical music. It scares the bear away. Amber tells Mike to head back to the tower. 2 days later, Mike heads back to Site 5 to find it completely empty. The hikers must have gone. The next 2 weeks drag as Mike has trouble writing. Amber tries to help him with his writer's block. The good thing is Mike gets into a rhythm with the job of fire lookout. Amber informs him of a food drop and tells him to keep track of his stock. When Amber is calling Gene about the food drop, Mike sees a fire and panics, but Amber calms him and tells him to just keep an eye on it. A day later, a storm appears and puts it out. Mike eventually finds a strange notebook hidden in the ceiling of his tower that has a lot of weird rambling notes. He can't make heads or tails of the thing. At night, Amber contacts him to tell him that the tent he saw at Site 5 belonged to a father and son who went hiking a while back, and now they're missing. Mike is told to hike out to Enos Lake and see if the father and son are there, possibly fishing. But while out there, he won't be able to contact Amber because it's too far out of range. He packs a bag and leaves. He packs a bag and tent and leaves. On his trek, he sees a dead bear, and when he reaches the lake, he sees a mysterious man in dress shirt and slacks with a metal box and headphones. The strange man disappears into the woods before Mike can find him again. At night, another storm comes, and Mike sets up his tent. Also, a large thing appears in the woods, a large creature, perhaps, growling and stalking about. Eventually, the thing leaves, with Mike never getting a good look. The next day, Mike heads to Overarch, where he can reach Gene. He tells him about everything that happened the prior night, and Gene doesn't believe him, just thinks it's a bear or moose. Mike ends up heading back to the tower in a hurry. While trying to contact Amber, his signal gets intercepted, and a strange person says over the radio, "Don't trust them." Mike gets back to the tower to find his place broken into, but the only thing touched was his laptop. On it, a series of repeating numbers. 3 days pass, and Mike is annoyed by Amber because she doesn't believe him about anything. But is he going stir-crazy? He's not sure. Amber mentions she stayed in Tower 4 last year after Jerry quit and never saw or heard anything. Mike and Amber argue a little bit, and eventually Mike cuts off communications for the time being. Flashback to Mike and his ex-girlfriend, Melinda, who he caught drinking and cheating again. He finally breaks it off with her, says goodbye to her son, Nate, and takes off. Back to the tower, days continue to pass slowly. One night, Amber calls, drunk. She snuck some vodka to her tower and is now drinking it. She apologizes to Mike, but he doesn't respond. Eventually, he figures out that the random repeating numbers are on his laptop are a lock combo for a cache, or so he believes. Mike, scared of the woods, practices with the bow to have some sort of protection. He then sets off on a treasure hunt. He also breaks his silence with Amber, and she offers her help. They check cache after cache. There's one cache that is between their towers. They decide to meet there tomorrow. It'll be the first time that they see each other. But when tomorrow arrives, Mike gets there first, only to get knocked out and dragged into the woods. He has another flashback to when he was a kid and the night his father left. His father, Jim, arrives home late, bloody and bruised. Mike's mother, Selena, is worried about him, but when she calls the police, Jim flees. Mike hears him peel out and drive off. Mike then awakens, and when he awakens in the woods, he's actually in a cave with a strange man hovering over him. The man cuts his bonds and explains he wants Mike's help, but sadly, the man seems confused and is unable to provide Mike with any really much information at all. He does mention a bunker and says he needs to find it, but Mike doesn't want to help, and he wants to leave and quit his job, but the man pleads. Flashback to not long after Mike's dad left when he was a kid. Mike finds an injured bird and helps it. His mom says he can't keep it, but Mike just wants to help. Back in the woods, Mike talks to this man some more and eventually believes him to be Jerry, the old fire lookout. But after more non-answers to his questions, Mike gets frustrated and eventually leaves. He gets back to his tower and drinks the rest of Amber's vodka, which was left as a gift in the cache. He gets drunk and argues with Amber some more over the radio. He says he wants to quit. That night, he is woken by strange noises again and finds some man dressed all in black in his tower. The man shoots him with a dart, and they fight, crashing all the way down the stairs to the ground, where Mike gets knocked out once again. This time, he wakes up to find a couple of men dragging him near Enos Lake, where he is dragged below ground into a tunnel. And he hears more classical music and then passes out, and he once again dreams of the night his dad left, but this time he is flying over the clouds. That's season 1.
Whoo! The opening scene to season 2 is going to be
and he's just running upstairs.
Mike just doing push-ups.
Yeah, so that's season 1.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So if you don't remember, you could just listen to that, and now you're ready for season 2.
Yeah.
Hopefully that fixes everything, but
it will. All is made right.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather do that kind of read-through than create a whole teaser for season 2 because, one, I'd have to, write something specifically for a teaser or go through every episode and cut it down. And I'm just like,
and then
I don't want to go through all that.
Yeah, you'll have me in the background going, in a world where there are 4 towers,
only
Mike
one
Archer
can stand
in hell.
Yeah, so I figure that's the easiest way until we get caught up, and then maybe we'll do something like that. But anyways, so you're Mike.
I am Mike.
You're Mike Archer.
Yep. And I make people call me that.
All the time.
In public.
Around town. Yeah.
Hey, Jack. No, Mike Archer.
Is this your most proud of all your acting?
Of all my acting?
For the audio dramas. I'm not talking about you acting in front of the mirror every day.
No.
I'm assuming 'cause that's what you do, right?
It's up there for sure.
Okay.
This is definitely the biggest role. Well, no, it's not. It's one of the biggest roles you've ever given me.
I guess Locke.
Yeah,
Atlas
Locke
Avenue
and Atlas Avenue Beat. I feel like I've done more with, but as far as
that's
acting
longer
goes,
though.
Yeah. This is it's interesting being an actor when it's you and one other person more often than not.
That's true. This is an interesting one because most of our series have multiple characters. This one really only has 2. I mean, there are other characters, but not, they come and go.
And it's interesting from an acting standpoint because that's been heavily criticized of this show more than any other. It's like, it sounds...
But I think that also comes with the fact that this is one of our most popular shows where it's downloaded a lot.
That's true.
The ones that are downloaded a lot get a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
And they'll get negative ones, but overall,
and I'm okay with that. I just, from my point of view, because I'll never get to talk to anybody about it, is like he's a guy in the woods by himself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to capture that and be like, and then I went to the bathroom.
I know. That's the thing is there's a lot. I try to limit sometimes the voiceover for him.
Yeah.
But you can't really do that with a audio drama because you have to know what he's doing. It's one thing. I can't just have him walking around shuffling papers because you're not going to know exactly what he's doing unless he's narrating it.
And one thing that we like to do is say with voiceover what you're doing. You don't want to leave it up for interpretation because if we just did pages shuffling, you're like, what's he looking at?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it a book? I mean, you hear writing noises. What's he writing down?
But as I write, as I've been going, I think anybody who listens to other Seven Land productions, if you listen to season 1 of Paralyzed or End of All Hope, I'll admit, writing wise, they're not the greatest.
Yeah.
I was just starting out. I've gotten to the point where I can kind of limit what the character has to say in a voiceover and still get it across what he's doing. Yeah. But I still like having the VO rather than not having anything or even having a narrator. I don't want a narrator for a show like this. No. Just, I don't know.
And for having read at this point a lot of your writings, I really do like Tower 4.
Yeah.
I think it's got a good structure. I know a little bit more about it than some other people.
Right.
But I think the direction that it's going is really good, and that's been indicative of, what you said, the amount of downloads that this one has gotten.
It was in the top 100 since, I think, episode 2 or whatever, of the top fictional on iTunes. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was even above End of All Hope, but I think End of All Hope now just took it over and is above it. But still, like, just for it to be up there is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Since it's so new. We say new, but like new as in it's only got 9 episodes. And we only really released 1 episode every month.
Yep.
I know a lot of people were complaining about that. Yeah. We're sorry about that.
Yes,
but we have a lot of projects we're working on, and we're always trying. If you think there's a day that goes by where I'm not working on something to do with Seven Lamb, you are grossly mistaken.
Yes,
I swear.
It was several hours out of the day.
Oh, my God. So many hours.
And that's on top of, as we say this a lot on Patreon or other recaps, is both of us have jobs.
And lives actual
and other
jobs.
Things. So fitting these things that don't really pay us, because everything we take goes back into production.
Oh, all of it. And I was just telling you, because we're recording this a little early, but I was telling you today that as I was editing the finale, I spent an hour just looking for the right music track for the finale.
And that you think that's not tedious, you're wrong. I just going through track, and you just sit and listen and track and then track and then track.
I got to the point where I was just like I was on Pond 5, which is a music downloading. You pay for the tracks and stuff to use, royalty free. But I was going through, and I would just do different keyword searches like tense, suspense, action.
Yep.
Slow, groovy, acoustic, like all this kind of stuff. And then I would just click, and if I kind of have like an ear for it, like what I was looking for. So I would just listen to a track, and within the first 5 or 10 seconds, I was like, nope. I'm just going through. And then eventually, after an hour, I found the right music track, and I was like, this is the one that's going to be. And it's only for one scene in Tower 4, but I'm like, it's one that I need. And so I got that. So yeah, all of the money that we do make, whether it's from people who donate on Patreon or some of the advertisers that we make through Spreaker, it goes to this stuff, and we pay for all the music and sound effects and a lot of the acting and just to make it. But I think Tower 4 now was like probably, other than maybe Story Season 2 that we're currently working on too.
Yeah,
these are like the ones where like we're taking them a little bit slower, and I'm only releasing like once a month. But the reason for that is because I'm trying to get new music, trying to make sure the acting's really on point. Make sure like the fact that there's only a few characters for these shows makes it a lot easier for me to make sure that the acting is perfect. Because sometimes when there's a show that has 15 actors, sometimes I'm like, do I really,
And if you see the setup, it's not really a spot where we all can come together and record on the same microphone. So a lot of that shows up into your editing. I mean, the fact that you're able to pick out those takes and make the cadences match the feel of the scene, so to speak.
You know what's crazy is that as I go through editing, because I did all the editing for Tower 4. Mm-hmm. We have editors and stuff for other series, but I took over for Tower 4. I wanted to do the whole first season, just so it had the same feel throughout. And as I'm editing it, there are times where, like, say, your dialogue doesn't necessarily match up with Amber's dialogue, right?
Right.
So, like, I have to find, like, sometimes I can just message Gina Coyle, who does Amber. Like, I don't even know Gina Coyle. She just does voices for us. I met her off of Reddit. She emailed us, and she's been doing voices for us for a long time.
She's done a couple other voices,
She's Kylie in End of All Hope, and then she's a new character in Paralyzed coming up.
Okay.
But it's not out yet. But yeah, she's done a few different voices for us. And usually she's pretty fast. Like I can send her like, hey, this line's a little bit off, or I need it to be a little bit louder, or whatever it is. But I don't like to always bother people with one line. So like I've found that like sometimes just adding the right sound effect in between a line, or whether it's like you just standing or you sitting on a bed or something like that, it can kind of change the whole inflection of what you're about to say.
Yeah.
So like I've been doing that more, and it actually does fit sometimes like a scene. Like if you're like maybe a little bit louder when she was softer, if I have you walk over and maybe like bang on a table and then say your line, then it's like, oh yeah, now he's angry and he's banging on a table, so it makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff does help, but it also does help just to have two main characters and be able to be like, yeah, can you guys just redo this one line?
Yeah, and one of these days maybe we'll get her over to or get her on a call or something to
talk.
Well, not just that, but to do a scene together.
Yeah, that's one thing is, like you were saying earlier, most of our shows, everybody records separately.
Yep.
And we just piece together the dialogue and hope that it works out.
Right.
And most people record like multiple takes too. So like I'm able to kind of
exactly. So even some of those monologues that you hear that are long, wordy paragraphs, which are fine.
Right.
Just remember, I might have recorded that 4 times.
Several times.
And there are quite a few bloopers of me getting to like 2/3 of the way. And
yeah, I can't wait to do the blooper. Although, like the bloopers for this, because Gina actually edits her own. There's no bloopers for her, so it's going to be pretty much all you and maybe Brian Messick, who plays Gene.
Yes,
that's pretty much it. And then I guess me, because I play the newer character that he finds in the cave and stuff. Jerry. Yeah. So Jerry. Other than that, there's really going to be not too many bloopers because there's only a few characters.
And nobody gets to go in with Rob when he's recording either. He records it all by himself.
Yeah.
Nobody comes in and says, no, Robert, one
do
more
it
time.
Again.
Thank you.
Trust me, I'm my own worst critic. I'm like, no, that was stupid.
Yeah.
And when I have to play like a crazy guy, I was in here. I took a couple shots to like kind of loosen up and like get like all like breathy and like, please, no, please. Like that. It was
my
weird.
mic is just going, no, Jerry. No.
Stop it. Jerry, buddy, you got to help me out.
Jerry,
That's like
buddy.
I think I had you say buddy a couple times to Jerry. Like, buddy, come on, man.
Just trying to relate. Come on, buddy.
Like, answer some questions.
No. Finger.
Yeah, he's just giving you
Finger.
like one-word clues.
No, Jerry.
Bunker.
Yeah, bunker. Jerry, God, come on, Jerry.
I will say that
he ends up becoming Jer Bear in the next one.
Yeah, Jer Bear. And then you guys become this duo and you go around fighting crime.
Jer Bear in the Arch.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
That's the spin-off show, Jer Bear in the Arch.
So I want to address a couple things. There's 2 main things I want to address.
Okay.
The first one is that a lot of people have found the similarities with this, with the video game Firewatch.
Yes.
I will say that was one of my biggest worries, was being like, you guys are just copying Firewatch.
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand. I played Firewatch a while back, like 7 years ago or whenever it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not that long, 6 years ago. I don't know. But I played it. I liked it. I don't remember much about it, but I do know that there's a guy and a girl and they talked or whatever. And I was worried about doing that because I was like, people are going to be like, you're just copying it. So.
And I'll tell you, the first time I ever heard of Firewatch was when somebody said, this sounds like the game Firewatch.
Right. And a couple of people have said that. So, and I get it. And like, I like the game and stuff. So I'm not trying to say I like copied it or whatever, but it was like those 2 things were very similar. And I'm like, crap, like I need to make sure that I make it different enough, but I still want to tell this story because it's actually, this is just the beginning of the story. There's actually going to be more to it.
Yeah.
But I can't spoil it, so I can't say
and the world
why
will
it's going to
have
be different.
More depth,
but it's going
too.
to be. Right.
Yeah.
And that's also why I did like these flashbacks later on in the later episodes, because I kind of want to flesh out the characters and kind of show more of a backstory. And with like the earlier episodes, it was just basically this guy's going to be a fire lookout and some creepy stuff happens, right? And I think people are drawn to that. And actually, the reason Tower 4 came about was because of a guy who I met on Reddit several years ago who started editing for me in season 2 of End of All Hope. And I still talk to him every once in a while. And actually, he just came back and he's editing an episode of Paralyzed for me.
Nice.
We've been talking for a long time, and he likes doing the editing. And he brought up Tower 4. He's like, yeah, you should do like a fire lookout type of story because I think it would be pretty cool as like an audio drama. And I said, you know what? I was thinking about that, but I didn't want to like copy anything. And he's like, no, like you should do it. And he actually came up with the Tower 4 as the title.
Nice.
And I was like, cool. And we worked on it a little bit. I sent him the first couple scripts because he was like, but you can do the writing because I don't know how to write, but I'll edit it and stuff. Well, sadly, he started school. That's not sad, but he couldn't edit for me anymore.
Sadly,
he
furthered
got
his
an education. Yeah.
And decided to stop making silly voices with us.
Sadly enough.
Yeah.
But he was like, sorry, like I can't edit for you right now, but maybe like next year. So I told him not to worry about it, but I said, do you care if I take it and go with it? And he said, no, of course not. Like you're writing it, like that's fine. Yeah. So he does have story credit, like for the title and everything in the credits of each episode. But that was one of the things is he called it Tower 4, and he kind of brought it up, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then when I started writing it, I was like, oh, this is too similar to Firewatch. But the story he had in mind, again, I can't spoil it, and we talked about it, I was like, okay, well, I always like a slow build, so it's going to take me a while to get to that point. But
we haven't had a single story that starts from Jump Street like that.
No, I don't like those.
Which is good. I liked the story.
I like slow builds with pretty much every one of our podcasts. I think has a slow build. Paralyzed, End of All Hope, Story, The Walk, The Stonehouse. So because of that, it does have a lot of similarities with Firewatch, but it is going to definitely divert. And I think you can kind of see that in the last few episodes. It gets a little bit more eerie and mysterious, and there's more like things involved. So hopefully people will not think I directly just played Firewatch and was like, yeah, I'm going to make this.
Look at this. Already got my story right here.
But you know what's crazy is there's also another horror game or something like that came out. I never heard of it until recently when I was somebody mentioned some other game, and I was watching that, and then I saw a thing say Tower or something. So I clicked on it, and it's about a fire lookout 2 that takes place in the woods. But I think the whole thing just takes place in the tower, and it's like an indie game. But I was like, crap. And they mentioned a Tower 4 on the radio. So I was like, well, great. Now people are going to think I copied this. So I was like, that sucks, but I can't change it now.
It's not as bad as that podcast we had about the two brothers who were going to be plumbers, and then one of their girlfriend
turtles
gets kidnapped by a giant spiked turtle. That was a whole fiasco.
That one we just decided to quit.
Right, so we just decided to do another one where they just race in go-karts.
Yeah. On the double.
Yeah.
And maybe dash a little bit.
That's right.
Anyways, yeah. So seeing that stuff, I'm like, well, that sucks. But again, we're gonna try to make it a lot different. There are some. I'm gonna say this stuff because I don't think it's like necessarily spoiling it, but there are the works that I look towards for inspiration were things like Lost, just because of the mystery and stuff. That's not to say that I'm going to write something.
No, don't
make
worry.
It super.
Mike is not in purgatory.
Yeah, it's not going to be something crazy. Spoiler. But then also, actually, like H.G. Wells, Islands of Dr. Moreau, and like that kind of like mystery stuff. I like
how
that.
Closely to Island of Dr. Moreau you going?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely see. But stuff like that. And then, yeah, obviously like Firewatch or any of like those, like anything that takes place out in the woods, like the mysteries. And now somebody just shared a trailer for a new movie with Angelina Jolie coming out that takes place where she's a fire lookout. And
well, she's one of our Patreon supporters.
Of course, yeah. We're millionaires.
So, yeah.
Where she adopted us, and now she gives us money.
And Mom's been really sweet.
Very nice, very nice. But yeah, basically, there's a new movie coming out about Fire Lookout where she's there, and there's like these people coming to kill some kid, and she's protecting them in the woods, and there's a fire. So I'm like,
we've never seen that scenario before. Yeah,
I'm like, hopefully that's all it is.
Angelina Jolie.
But we'll see. We'll see. One of the things is I know where I want to take the story to an extent, but some of it I'm leaving up in the air right now because I don't know. I don't know how I like really want to begin season 2 just yet, but I know where I want to take it. So when we get to that point, the other thing I'm going to mention, and we'll go really fast over this one because I don't want to get into it, but is the politics thing. Don't talk about religion and politics, but it's a politics thing. I'm not going to get too far into it.
Right.
But there's actually a little thing that she mentions in that section of the political statement that she makes that lasts maybe it's like one paragraph by her and then 3 lines after.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And I get it. I understand people don't like politics, but honestly, there is politics in everything. And there's politics in old movies and stuff like that.
It's not taking a stance though.
It's not. Mike in fact says I don't vote. Like he doesn't take a stance either way.
Right.
He doesn't care.
This is the equivalent of like, the force isn't really with them.
But that's the thing is yes, a lot of characters I do interject my thoughts and feelings, but there are plenty of characters that I do not do that with.
Right.
So I'm not trying to take a stance one way or the other, but there are characters. In fact, if you listen to Movie Night, which is our sitcom, Brad is super conservative and Kelly is a bleeding heart liberal. And I did that on purpose because I like them clashing.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. I share viewpoints with both of them.
Right.
But I like going to the extremes because they clash and it makes it funny to me.
But to hear a political line and put 1 star and say, shouldn't have involved politics, I'm
weird.
done. It's like, what?
I get it. People,
what do you do about political
touchy...
thrillers?
Yeah, I know. Dude, I get it. I understand, especially in today's climate, that people don't want to hear it and all that kind of stuff. And
right. And that's not what we're here for.
Right. But the thing is, like I said, like even in Atlas Avenue Beat, like I make jokes about both sides. I made a Trump joke. I made a Biden joke. I made a Democrats joke. I made a Republican. Like I make jokes about everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to take a stance. I just write what I want to write. And I feel like I write what's good for a character. Mm-hmm. And Mike's character is he's not involved. And that's the whole thing is he's been distant from everybody over the last several years, that he's not involved in anything besides his mother when she was when she was sick and stuff. And then Amber, who is she's more liberal and she's more environmentally conscious, so she's very like strong and all-willed about, like, she mentions how she wanted to go down to the Gulf oil spill and help out and stuff like that. And I use that as her character, and that actually does come back. That conversation, not the political stuff, but like her talking about helping in the Gulf spill, comes back up in the finale.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that too that we'll get into in season 2 and stuff. So I'm sorry if it offended anybody, but again, I'm just writing for what I think the characters would say and what they would do. And
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry if it offended you. It shouldn't have. It's a character development thing.
To me, it's just funny because everybody who records for me, everybody's got different political views and everybody's got different ideas and opinions and stuff. So like, again, I write for what I think the characters are. There's a lot of the characters I write that I do not even agree with.
Yeah.
But I write them and
that's
a
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
The disagreements are a beautiful thing among our listeners, among us, among everybody. Right. It's okay to disagree.
And I'm fine if you want to give us 4 stars because that little conversation is bad, but come on, 1 star.
Yeah.
Because of that one conversation.
Star? Somebody gave us 1 star on a show over the music.
Yeah.
They go, whoever's picking the music on this show, I'm done.
Was that Tower 4 or was that End of All Hope?
I don't know.
It might have been End of All Hope. Yeah, there's obviously that just comes with the territory of being online. So
for sure,
we do appreciate everybody who is like a huge fan of the podcast because we're, like we said, it's been on the top 100 for a while and it's getting a lot of downloads and people seem to really like it. And when we release a new episode, it shoots up. So we're like really trying to crank these out.
Yeah.
But and we're hoping. I always say this for season 2. I'm hoping to get an episode out every other week. Again, it just depends how production goes.
Guys, I'm happy to record all this for you, for sure. But at the same time, editing and everyone else, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
But we'll get, I mean, hey, we are trying, and the more this grows and the more the likes and the shares and the good reviews that we get and the more involvement we get in our shows, hey, maybe that opens up a door to us to where we can say every other week, because then it'll be our full-time job to sit and work on it.
Hey, our ultimate goal is to make this a full-time thing, continue telling stories. I've tons of scripts. You have ideas. Like we want to keep making stories like this and with multiple seasons and everything, but we're just not there yet. But we're getting closer. We're getting closer, especially this past year. We're getting closer with everything, and we're able to buy more music and sound effects and really try to step up our game on production.
Yeah.
I think if you listen to Tower 4 or Story Season 2, which are releasing right now, or even Paralyzed, the new season of Paralyzed, they're so much better than the earlier seasons of any of our shows.
And that's the same with any show. Any of them take time to find their footing and find their identity, and Tower 4 is no exception. It happened to have a great following from all of you folks to start out with, and I only see it getting better.
I will say that, don't you think it's interesting, though, that this is the first series where I didn't write a super long finale.
Yes, it is.
It's actually only, I think, a little over a half an hour.
So for those of you who aren't very familiar with Seven Lamb, Rob will do 30-minute episodes, and then we'll be like, we're getting near the end, and we'll say, we're going to get a nice, simple finale, and he goes, this one's an hour and a half.
Yeah, they're always like 100 pages.
Right. We're just like, why don't we just extend the season? No, we're just going to keep this season finale.
Even my mom says that. She's like, why don't you just, like my mom, and then like I had a couple friends like, why don't you just cut that up into 3 episodes? I'm like, no.
I was your friend that said that too.
But I've had several friends just go like, why?
Yeah.
Why do you do? I'm like, I like a long finale, but you said it best. We do slow burns and long finales.
That's right.
That's how we like it.
Let's get it.
Now, this one wasn't, and this one, I will say, I'm wondering how people, because we're recording this before I release the last episode.
That's
but
right.
I'm wondering how people like the finale because it's an interesting one. It ends kind of weird, I think. I mean, we can talk about it because it's out now, but
it does end kind of weird. It ends kind of on a place of uncertainty.
It's a dream sequence, and it's like, you kind of wonder, like, obviously it's kind of left open because we're going to do a season 2, but it's kind of weird, like very, I don't even know how to describe it. Just like this air of uncertainty where he's floating freely and we're not sure what's about to happen to him.
The people who love this show the most are the people who are trying to either not trust anything or anybody or find meaning in every single thing that happens.
You know what's funny? I was talking to my friend the other day about George R.R. Martin and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we hated the last season of Game of Thrones.
Season 8, yeah.
And George R.R. Martin was on in an interview where somebody asked him about, they're like, they were talking about season 8 and they're like, is that how you're going to kind of end the show and stuff? And he goes, well, I know like people were kind of upset with certain aspects of the show and that's kind of how things will probably turn out because me as a writer, he's like, that's how I've kind of been working the story towards.
Yeah.
He's like, but now that people have seen it and so many people have shown disappointment with certain aspects of it, he's just like, I can't really just switch it and change it mid 5th book or 6th book and be like, all right, well, no, now instead of Bran, this guy's going to be king or whatever. So,
well, you just thought that was going on, but actually.
So I mentioned that because of also spoilers for Game of Thrones. I mentioned that because as I'm releasing these episodes, people are coming out, I don't think Amber's real. I don't think this person's real. I don't think this is right. I think this person's lying. And I'm like, yeah, it's interesting because, like, if it's not going to turn out, like, I can't write it to fit a certain narrative that, like, people are guessing. I'm like, I'm going to just keep writing it, and hopefully it fits what they're happy with.
And the train has left the station in a lot of times.
Right.
When they say that. And sometimes it goes, oh, that's interesting. We did not think that you would think that by hearing this particular line, but hey, all right.
Yeah, but sorry, but that's not the way we're going with it or whatever it is. But there's been a lot of guesses of, who to trust, what to think, what's going on,
who not to trust, specifically.
Yep.
And one of our fans who knows who she is does trust absolutely no one in any show
not even Mike
ever written.
Oh yeah,
doesn't trust anybody.
That'd be funny. Not even Mike.
Yep, not even Mike.
I don't even trust him. Other than that, we're gonna start working on season 2. I've already started the outlining process. I haven't started writing it yet, but we are working on other stuff too. So hopefully we can get it out. And like I said, our goal is to release it twice a month, like every other week, but we weren't able to do that with this last season. But we also had End of All Hope going, and that was taking up a lot of time too. And we lost our editor for the time being.
Yes.
We've gotten some other people who are helping with editing, so if they stick around and are able to continue to help, then maybe we can get Tower 4 out faster. But again, I'm not going to rush it because I want to go for quality over quantity for this series.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So that's our goal. And I think a 9-episode season was pretty good because all of our other shows are usually a lot longer, at least double that.
Yeah.
So this one was a little bit shorter, but they were a little bit longer episodes.
But there's a little bit more meat on the bone, though, like you said, with the dialogue being pretty heavy between 2 characters.
Yeah, a lot of, and because there's only 2 characters, I wanted it to really be like a good back and forth between, like kind of showcasing who they are. And because it's an audio drama and I didn't do a ton of flashbacks, you can only really, besides the VO, the voiceovers, you can only really get a person's characteristics through talk,
right?
Because it's all audio.
Yeah.
Which is hard as a writer because every screenplay book I've ever written says to show, don't tell. You show them being an asshole, and then they're an asshole, rather than saying like I'm a jerk. Like
I don't like you.
Yeah, so it's always a show, don't tell scenario, but you can't really do that with audio dramas. Other than that, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Anything else to add
we've
about?
been pretty comprehensive. Be excited. Tower 4 Season 2 is coming. We don't have a specific date yet, but if you follow us on any of our social media, especially our Facebook group, or just follow our page in general, we're also on Instagram. We update that a lot. We are very responsive. Yes, we're very responsive. So if you message us, chances are I will respond to you or Robert will respond to you. So please feel free to ask. Don't ever be shy about asking questions.
We've had a lot of people email us just telling us how much they like the show.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
And I try to respond to absolutely everybody.
I think we have responded to pretty much everybody.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everybody who's reached out.
And if you would like to help us out at all,
Yep.
you can go to patreon.com/7lamb, the number 7LAMB. We're on Patreon. We have a ton of content on there. You can donate as little as $1 a month, and our top tier is $10 a month. We just kept it at 10.
Yep.
And if you donate, if you are 7Lamb, you can get all the episodes ad-free and early. And then we also are going to release bloopers and outtakes and all that kind of stuff that we already have out there for our other shows. We're going to have that for Tower 4 as well. So,
and we do giveaways on there sometimes too.
We do giveaways on our Facebook page. So if you go to, I don't think we have a Tower 4 shirt yet, but we'll get one.
Oh, we do.
Do we?
Yep.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
I don't
We have a Tower 4 shirt, and I know somebody that has one. They look really, really good, especially if you order the purple.
Is it your wife?
I can't confirm or deny.
Seems biased. No, I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
check it out. Maybe we'll do a giveaway for a Tower 4 shirt.
What is that? Threadless.com/7lamb?
It's 7lamb.com/threadless. I believe it's backwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Threadless. If you go to Threadless and search for 7Lamb, you'll find a bunch of our different show shirts on there. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for joining me, Jack.
My pleasure.
It's been awesome. Hopefully, we can do this again for our season 2 recap.
Yes.
And maybe we'll even get some other guests. Who knows?
I'm excited.
Maybe somebody who wasn't even on the podcast. Maybe just somebody random. We'll just get somebody off the street.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys some other time.
See ya.
Bye.
This has been a 7 Lamb production.